because this shows the uncertainty in the market. If you look at the gold, like I showed you, you can see that gold all of last week is it's still positive. It closed at 1601. This is pretty much extremely positive, but it's basically within a very tight range of, it's still above the high, it's still in a tight range. It hasn't, the negativity has not filtered in as much. I mean, it's already, we got the negativity from our buy point was 115.11. It pushed higher. You see, we made $100 on the way up in gold, $100 an ounce from the 115.11, which is in less than 2 weeks time, and now it has closed at 1601. But for the last 5 days it is not, so maybe they're expecting some sort of a settlement, but that's just this. If you look at the second precious metal, which is the silver, the same story, kind of a sideways pattern. It is not yet breaking to the upside. So again, this is just kind of anticipation that fear is gone. There's a pause in the fear. Okay, and if you look at copper, pretty much the same. It is still high, it is still positive, but still there is no momentum, there is no follow through, there is no volatility. Okay, so we're going to start going back to do our homework now, to start planning our trade. And as I said, so the first thing we're going to look at, the weakest one we're looking at, is the Canadian dollar. And if you look at the radar screen, you could see that let's see, look at the Canadian pairs. Now this is the dollar CAD, i.e. if you see a green bar like this, this means that the dollar is stronger versus the Canadian. And this, guys, this is, for you turtles, this is upside down turtle soup. This is an upside down turtle soup. So we are going to be looking at this in that pattern, because the beauty of the chart, what works on the way up works on the way down, pretty much the same. So this momentum low that I have here is 94.44, and now we close the week at 94.75. This is one hell of a good buy signal. We need to be buyers of the dollar CAD. I don't like this close. I mean, this is, even though we had this big slide coming back down, this is, it is, even though it was a very big range to the upside, that close is a cautionary close. We need to be careful with this close. It is still positive, it is still something that we want to buy, but we want to make sure that we get into the trade at the right time. So I'm going to be a buyer over here, and in any case my stop, my sell stop, is going to be below 94.44. This is going to be my structural point. So if I'm going to go now into my intraday chart, I'm going to place a line which exactly represents the 94.44, my structure point. I'm going to put it on the intraday chart, so I have now the same price point, I can see it. And right there, this is now my selling point. All that movement that you see right there, This is lovely. I mean, it's just pulling back, but we will only go short right here. This is my short, and if it gets below the 94.44, this is what I'm going to sell it. Anywhere above here, I'm not going to be looking at selling the dollar CAD. I will only sell the dollar CAD if it gets below the 94.44. Okay, so that, where will we buy the dollar CAD? We closed the week at 94.75. If we draw a gift, so it's probably be around the 95.10. So I will be a buyer of the dollar CAD above 95.13. So I will buy, my long point is 95.13 right there, and my short point is 94.44, and it is also my structural short. So my short point is my structural short, and if that's the case, it will also become my stop, my short stop. And when I say it will become my short stop, this means I'm going to put 10-15 pips above it just to give it a little bit of a breathing room. But once we identify one price point, which is the buy point and the structure point, then this indicates a very powerful signal. So if it gets below the 94.44, that's going to be a very powerful sell signal, and therefore we don't want to give the stop any much room above it. So you're not going to be using the 2N in this case. Okay, now if I buy above 95.13, where will I place my stop? Well, just by looking here, I will place, if I buy it back above the 95.13, which is above the 2-day high, then I'm going to place my stop right below the 3-day low over here, which is the 94.82. So my long stop is going to be 94.82. This is going to be my stop. Okay, so this is how we're planning this. We want to be buyers of the dollar CAD right now because we have a big buy signal on the, so we're going to be buying above 95.13. and if I do my structure, oh, I didn't do the structure long, sorry. This is not a structure long. So the structure long, the one that I have is the 97.90. So my structure long is 97.90. Excuse me, which is the one that we have picked several weeks ago, the 97.90. That is, so if I'm buying above 95.13. My structure long is 200 pips higher, which is the 9700, and my stop in this case, if I buy it at 95.13, my stop is below 94.82, so I'm risking about 35 pips or so on this trade. On the short side, my short point is my structural short, and it is my stop, and it is one the same on all three of them, and that is the 94.44. That means it will be a very powerful sell signal if it does take place. Okay, that is the dollar CAD.